not his name. I guess we call it literal equations or just equations. What's that? Let's call it literal equations, literally. I really don't know what the definition of a literal equation is. Hopefully it says it. Oh, there you go. Equation with more than one variable. Equations with more than one variable. Here, I'm going to give you the example, and then we're going to talk about this. Are you ready? The book will tell you to do this. Solve for y. I tell you what, we will solve this both for y, and we'll solve it for x too. And the equation is this. 2x plus 3y equals 10. 2x plus 3y equals 10. 2x plus 3y equals 10. And my advice to you, dear 8th graders, is this. Okay, this is a lot like, remember back in the day when you had like 8 minus b equals 6, and I said, what should you do? Think of a simple problem, whatever. When you're given an equation, a literal equation like this, and you're asked to solve for a letter, you're not going to get an exact number. You're going to get an answer that has a letter in it. Think of a simple equation, and I'm just going to write it down here. Let's say 6x plus 8 equals what? 44? Can I do that? Does that work out? 42? Clausing, help me out here. 42, 48. I'm going to subtract 8 from something. 48 will give me 40. That ain't going to work. 36, 44. If you were solving this for x, remember what we did first? Before we get to that, you got rid of the thing that didn't have the x with it, right? And how did I get rid of this 8? I subtracted 8, right? And when I subtracted 8, I got 36. And then what did I do last? I divided by this 6 and isolated that x and blah, blah, blah. If you follow that same thought process over here with this one, I am solving this for y, so what do I want to get rid of? The term that doesn't have the y. Which one doesn't have the y? This one. How do I get rid of that? You subtract it away. Okay? Because when I subtract 2x from 2x, I get nothing. The problem with that in this is this. You can't take 2x away from 10, so you just have to leave it as minus 2x there, because they're not like terms. They don't combine. You can't do anything with it. Got that? Same step we did over there. It just doesn't work out nicely. And then the last step I did over here was to divide by the thing that was by the letter that I was solving for, which means over here I'm going to divide by the letter by the thing I'm solving for. And again, you can't simplify that. That is as far as it goes. That is your answer. Y is going to equal 10 minus 2x over 3, which is not crisp and clean, but it does make you look smarter than you are, which is not hard. There are times when you will be able to simplify that, but probably not right now. So doing the same thing, except this time solving for x. This time I want to keep the x term, so the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the y term. So we're going to subtract 3y. Doesn't combine with the 10, so it's just minus 3y. Divide by the 2, divide by the 2, and boom. Now let's investigate. Let's look at that for just a minute. If x equals this, 10 minus 3y over 2, there is another, you could change the form of that. Maybe that would make it easier. Does anybody know? This is the same thing as saying 10 over 2 minus 3y over 2. If you put this all over 2, you can split it up and say this over 2 and that over 2. And this would simplify to a 5, right? Minus halves y. I'm not sure which one the book, I don't know if they call that simplified or not, but just know that you could do it. Does that really help? Probably not. I probably shouldn't even have said that. Are you ready for something a little bit harder?
Yes.
Really? Here's one that you'll probably actually see. Do you know there is a formula that changes Celsius into Fahrenheit? You must, because you had Mrs. Stone each year that taught you that, right?
Yeah, so it was 30.
So here it is. Celsius equals 5/9, I hope I'm doing this right, Fahrenheit minus 32. Which means, in this case, in that case there, if you know Fahrenheit, you can solve for Celsius, right? Let's just play it for fun. If Fahrenheit equals 32 degrees, and I put 32 in for this, 32 minus 32 is 0, and 0 times 5/9 is 0, so Celsius would equal 0 degrees. And that's why freezing is 32 degrees here, and Celsius is 0 degrees. Or, what other one do we know for sure? Boiling. What's boiling Fahrenheit? Oh boy. 212? So if I put 212 degrees in there and subtract 32 from that, I get 180, right? 5/9 of 180 is? Oh boy. I am a failure. 5/9 times 180 is 9 goes into that. 20 times 5 times 20 is 100. We already know that. Water boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the same as 100 degrees Celsius. So we know that works. That's neither here nor there. Now, what if I asked you to solve this for F? Solve for F. How am I going to get the letter F by itself over there? We run into a small roadblock. I will entertain any suggestions at this point. Zachary?
You add the 32?
I can't because the 32 is firmly attached to the parenthesis. You can't just yank it out of a parenthesis. You have to look at the F minus 32 as one certain unit. So really what you have to do is get rid of the 5/9 first. Any idea how to get rid of 5/9? Wait, let's go back to any time I have a fraction next to a letter. What do I do to get rid of it? Joseph? Look at Joe. Joseph, you get the award for today. Joseph said this, I'm going to flip and multiply both sides by 9/5. Because if I multiply this side by 9/5, that all crosses off and goes away. But I have to also keep this as 9/5 here. So now I have 9/5 times C equals F minus 32. And then how am I going to get rid of the 32 and put the F, get the F by itself? Tough one, Zachary!
Add 32.
Yeah, all you got to do is add 32 to both sides. And once again, these are not like terms, so you just put 9/5 C plus 32 for your answer. F equals this. Should we see if it works? No. I won't bore you with the details of that. But, fish, if Celsius was 0 degrees, 9/5 times 0 is plus 32 is 32. If Celsius was 100 degrees, 9/5 times 100? Oh boy, there we go. 180. 180 plus 32. Does anybody care? Who feels, let's hold on. Let me give you one, see if you can figure this out. 3m plus 2n equals 8. 3m plus 2n equals 8. Solve for, Grace, what should we solve for, m or n? Let's solve for m. I will give you 30 seconds or less. You should be done by now because this was relatively simple. Solve for M. Solve for M. We got one? Who wants to jump on board that? Emma Miller, what'd you come up with? M equals
8 minus 2n over 3.
over 3?
Yeah.
That looks probably like a winner to me again. You want to get this by itself, but you got to get rid of this first, so you subtract 2n. I subtract 2n. I divide by 3. I divide by 3. 8 minus 2n over 3. That doesn't seem so bad, does it? What would you say, yes or no? All right, enough of that. Let me give you a little chance. I have taken the liberty to, these are the numbers on lesson number 29. You may want to jot them down just because. 1, 2, 3, 13, 14, 15, 20, 22, 23, 24, how many is that? 28. Oh, wait. Emily Bott, pick one of these numbers. Quick.
15.
All right, you don't have to do number 15. I'll give you an even 10. I hope she picked a good one. That, ladies and gentlemen, is